Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, July 9th, 2026. I, of course, am Hammer, founder of Hammer Solutions, home of great products such as Originator Success, where we help you to be found, be chosen, be remembered. Grab and Go Social, where we help you get loans off of social media. Rate Sensei, where we teach you all about what's going on with the markets. Shouldn't have eaten that Nature Valley cinnamon almond butter bar biscuit thing right before I started. Sorry. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Remember, you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. If you want to get a quick reminder that I'm going live, we do send out a text as I go live, so you can make sure you don't miss a moment of the show. Sign up at hmmr.io/reminder or use this cool QR code. Also, we, of course, have our free daily email lock advice that goes out. It's kind of the abridged version of what we talk about on the show. Sometimes even some other things that we don't necessarily talk about, but you can go ahead and get that at ratelockadvice.com. We've also got our text alerts at ratetextalerts.com. $7 a month. You can't beat them. So go check those out as well. If you're here this morning, say good morning, my friends. Welcome to all the live folks. Mallory Fotiatis and Amy Blauser. Good morning. Brandy Breckler, Rob Stewart, Lisa Cramp. Good to see you. Vicky McSweeney, Sean Segaloff. Great to see all of you. Sean, sounds like you need more coffee and definitely more bacon. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day as everyone starts to hop in. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me bring up the screens. We are going to go ahead and share the screen, and let's talk about what we got going on this morning. So, of course, let's start with taking a look at the technicals. If we take a look this morning, mortgage-backed securities currently up 2 basis points at the moment, and the 10-year Treasury yield has improved a little bit. It's down to 4.56 after ending yesterday right around 4.60. Let's see, 4.57 is where it ended the day. Its high was 4.60, though. So a little bit better for that 10-year Treasury yield and not too shabby for mortgage-backed securities, which is handling everything in stride. So let's take a quick look at what we got going on and a recap of what has happened the last couple of days, especially yesterday. So taking a look yesterday, I've got this on the 5-day chart. So yesterday is everything between these yellow lines here. And you could see that on Tuesday, we had a big drop in mortgage-backed securities as the ceasefire with Iran started to fall apart. Yesterday morning, that was continuing. You could see that it just follows that same path down. So bonds continued to lose ground. They capped right here. This is where we saw the worst levels, and let's kind of talk about that. So the worst levels were right around 99, 80-ish. What is this? 99.79. So right around that low level that we saw, 99.78 was the worst level, and we've seen a bit of a bounce. We saw quite a bit of recovery here, as you could see. Bonds yesterday were all over the place. They were losing ground. Pricing coming out generally right about here, almost as we were getting to some of the worst levels. So you did see a handful, 4 or 5 lenders that repriced better as as everything peaked and came back here, the more aggressive ones. And then we gave up those gains. So when you take a look, there was a lot of volatility. Bonds were all over the place, dropping down, popping up, dropping down. But at the end of the day, really not much different. When you take a look at where rate sheets ended up with all this, rate sheets yesterday, 6.68. Crazy enough, almost exactly where we were a month ago, 6.68. So although we had seen rates, basically improve a whopping 1/8 of a point from 6 5/8 to 6.5, and then push back up to 6 5/8. So as much as this feels like there's a lot of volatility and it feels like we're, seeing all these changes, the reality is it's really not that different. Why is it so tight? I wonder if I could back that out. Anyway, you can see me. I can see. Oh, well, I can't see you, but you guys get the point. So it's pretty crazy. If we take a look here, I thought that was going to shrink. Sorry, I had that set up to shrink, but it didn't. Silly window. Here we go. All right, let's put this over here. So taking a look here, rate sheets today, they're going to be basically the same as what we saw yesterday. We're going to hit the headlines in a minute, talk about that Reprice risk on the day is moderate. We're watching bonds because right now they are just flat, up a couple basis points. Bonds are handling everything really a lot better than you would anticipate when you really kind of look at the scheme of things. With the headlines talking about that we basically are, the large fear of returning to war with Iran. In the text message today, I put that it's like Rachel and Ross from Friends. I didn't watch that show. Anyone watch that show a lot? Anyone watch the show Friends? Has anyone seen the whole thing? It's funny. It's on streaming. I could certainly watch it, but it was never a big, I don't know, it was never my thing. But if you take a look at Friends and the Rachel and Ross, will they or won't they? That was the big thing in the 90s. And that's kind of what it's become with this whole scenario and situation with Trump and Iran. But what I want to point out real quick, something that's very important here. Let me just change this. I'm going to throw the lock advice on the screen. And right now we're going to continue to cautiously float. Here's the key. Markets, I know this sounds flippant, but it's the truth. Markets don't care about the military action. They don't care about the perpetual conflict with Iran. They're worried about this. Right now, what's different than last time is that Iran has not been able to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. And ships are definitely slowing down, but there's still traffic. And there's still optimism that we will see oil transversing the Persian Gulf. As long as that happens and we see oil stay below $80 a barrel, we shouldn't see things get too much worse. However, if we start to see oil break above $80 a barrel, if it continues to escalate, of course, it's going to bring worse rates with it. It's going to increase fear of inflation. It's going to increase expectation of Fed rate hikes. Again, I always got to double check myself now because we were talking about cuts. Now we're talking about hikes. But as of right now, markets have kind of settled in. It's really not that different than where we were before this whole thing restarted and reignited. So at the end of the day, there's definitely going to be a lot of headlines about what's going on with Iran and, the inside Trump's Oval Office decision to ditch the U.S.-Iran ceasefire when he said, I think it's over. U.S.-Iran trade fire and, largest escalation since the peace deal. Remember, we had some tits and tats since this whole thing. One thing that doesn't make any sense to me, though, and there's just one thing. Trump says Iran called to make a deal after the U.S. strikes. Adds it's unclear if the war is back on. And that's why I said it really strikes me of like that Rachel Ross on again, off again. Will they or won't they? It's markets have gotten used to that. Everyone else has gotten used to it. So President Trump says, that Iran badly wants to make a deal. I don't really want to get into anybody defending Trump, but does anybody believe that? If Iran badly wanted a deal, why would they have attacked 3 tankers from Qatar? Why would they be shooting bombs and drones at U.S. bases in the Middle East? This doesn't jive. It's just, do people believe this? I don't believe this. I don't believe it. And I don't think it matters anyway. So it's just, again, markets are numb to this whole thing as well. What we really need to be paying attention to are any headlines that talk about ships getting through the Strait of Hormuz. That's what it's going to be at the end of the day. Just seeing if there's anything else in here I would want to hit on. So Iran reports strikes on 2 railway bridges connected to the capital city of Mashhad, where former Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei is being buried on Thursday. Here you go. This is what we have to look for. Traffic through the waterway came to a near standstill on Thursday. Iran's insistence that it retains control of the passage, one of the many issues on which the two sides remain far apart. And this isn't political commentary, so I'm not going to go too deep down the rabbit hole, but this is the problem with all of this. And we have to see where that goes. So that's kind of the gig there. Let's see what you guys have to say. Sean said you forgot who was quoting, but CNBC talked about inflation plus a softening job market. Everyone keeps saying a softening job market, but it's really not softening that much. I I didn't think the job market was soft. Yeah, slowing, not even slowing really. I mean, when you look at jobless claims, like what are jobless claims this morning? Let's see, what were jobless claims? Jobless claims was edged lower last week. So, look at this. Here you go. 215,000. Lower than the upwardly revised 217,000 reported a week earlier. I mean, these are the same numbers that we've had for years and years and years. This is not a softening labor market. This is not layoffs. This is not weakening. It's not there. I don't agree. I know that Ron says that. Yes, Iran wants a deal. The reason they're just trying to play a time waiting game to see if they can pressure Trump to back off due to midterms. They're great at delay tactics. Yeah, but that means that they don't want a deal. If they wanted a deal, they wouldn't be delaying. So and again, I don't think that they really need a quote unquote deal because they're getting a lot of what they want. Apparently ships were paying them millions of dollars to get the oil through anyway. We'll see where this all goes. Ron said job growth is negative if you remove mandatory to education and health. I have a hard time buying into that one either because even the ADP numbers are, 20,000 a week isn't huge, but those are private payroll. I guess you could argue that that's healthcare is in that private payroll. I don't know. So, but I still don't buy into it, man. People point to analytics and whatever, but I'm not hearing people losing jobs. I'm not seeing signs of people losing jobs. I see a lot of money being spent. Airline tickets I just had to buy airline tickets for Austin and I to go to an event. Economy tickets, $1,000. Economy, $1,000 from Charlotte to Austin, Texas. 2 months from now. Didn't wait until 3 days before. Insane. So, people without jobs, I don't see any big layoffs. We're not seeing any, I don't know. I don't think it's there. K economy. I know many out of work. Yeah, maybe it's the fields that make more of a difference. So anyway, all right, 12 minutes in. It's kind of early today, but I think we're going to break. Tomorrow I'll come to you from the road. I'm heading out to Pittsburgh to visit my nieces. And, do you know what I didn't bother to talk about? What we should probably talk about is those Fed meeting minutes from Wednesday, from yesterday. Let me see. Fed meeting minutes. Let me just Google that and bring that up real quick. Where's a good article to go over those? CNBC. It's not a terrible one for the CNBC article. Let's bring that one up. So let me show you this one real quick. We'll kind of go over this. So we did get the Fed meeting minutes yesterday. I didn't talk about them because they really had nothing to do. When you look at the time they come out, they had nothing to do with where markets were at. Fed meeting minutes show family fight over rates. The squabble could drag on for a while. Fed officials indicated they will address persistent inflation this year with one interest rate hike, then hold off. History, though, suggests policymakers will have a hard time stopping there. A lot of people are talking about one rate increase. The committee does not generally do that. What's the point of that? Markets will get more clues on Wednesday about the Fed's policy direction when the committee releases minutes from its 16th, 17th. Well, it had to have released the minutes, dumbass, that stupid article. I guess because it was updated and it was written at the beginning. So, but the minutes showed a few members that said, hey, they would have actually raised the Fed funds rate at this meeting. But they weren't enough to vote and dissent against the vote to leave things the same. It's just that they had arguments that they would have actually raised the Fed funds rate at this meeting. I still think we're going to run into some issues where it gets into the idea of politics. I think if it does happen, it's going to happen after the elections. And that means, in December. And I think markets are preparing for that as well when you look at Fed futures. So see what else you guys have to say. On my private jet. Yeah, my private jet. No, unfortunately, I do have first class money. I don't have private jet money. Hammer Airways with the G7. Yeah, baby. Pimenti Brothers. Lisa, I gotta say, I've been there once. I thought it was overrated. Pimenti Brothers. And it was not my. I didn't think it was anything special. So, December meeting rate cut. Ron Siegel says rate cut. Hammer says rate hike. I think we're going to see a rate hike. I don't think we'll be in a market to see a rate cut. So, all All right. Well, anyway, that's what we got going on, y'all. We'll keep an eye on this today. It's very unlikely rates are going to improve is the main thing you want to take away here. When it comes to lock advice, I still very much, we're cautiously floating just to see how the dust settles. Anything near term, consider locking. Especially if we see things turn negative today or by the end of the day, if we don't see some kind of improvement, it doesn't look like we're in a position where things are going to actually improve much. So you want to say goodbye to everybody before I wrap up, Miss Sophia? Here's Miss Sophia. She's purring. You going to say goodbye? So, all right. Well, anyway, y'all have a fantastic day. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Take care and make it a great one. Bye-bye.